lot of time on the phone with people in Spain trying to find, hey, can somebody take these dogs? I'll take some of them. Can please people help? Nothing happened. The dogs were being killed. Shannon put on 3 credit cards the plane trip to Los Angeles for 41, the last 41 of the Beagles. Junior was the last one. He's number 41 on the list. And they landed in Los Angeles last Thanksgiving, and NBC Nightly News ran their story about dogs saved from a lab.
Oh, wow.
And overnight, it became a sensation. So many people contacted NBC Nightly News because of his story that the next night, Savannah Guthrie had to do a whole nother story as a follow-up to what was happening with these dogs. For the 41 dogs that came out of that Spanish lab, they had 6,000 applications for adoptions from people across the country.
Wow.
And we stumbled upon this idea that Shannon runs a rescue organization besides Beagle Freedom Project, but Beagle Freedom Project is a rescue organization with an activist mission. We realize that with every little beagle paw that hits the pavement, that it carries this profound impact to educate people about what happens inside of these product testing labs. That when you go to a store and you buy lipstick or detergent and it doesn't have that label on it that says cruelty-free, here's the face of the victim that suffered for your product. Now, Aaron and I have been doing animal rights activism for the better part of a decade and a half. And this project speaks to us not just because we've adopted Junior and he's changed our lives and we love him and we've seen the enormous amount of growth that he's had since we got him, when we had to hand feed him on the couch because he was so scared to get off of it and go through the doorway. But because with this project, it's not controversial. Now, you and I can have a disagreement about whether Junior needs to wear lipstick before you do. I think that's bullshit, and we can argue about it. But what we won't disagree on at the end of the day is that after everything he's endured for human products and corporate profits, he has the right to go home. And so the Beagle Freedom Project, 2 weeks ago, sent a letter to every lab in the United States of America asking them to work with us. 388 labs, 13 of them in Minnesota, that use beagles for product testing. And we're asking them to give them to us when you're done. We hate what they do, but we know that every time somebody meets Junior, looks at the tattoo in his ear, and realizes what he's been through, that they'll be a more educated consumer when they go to the store. So we've got a number of projects lined up for this year. We're revamping our website. We're becoming a national organization. Prior to this, it was always just Los Angeles. Junior is one of the only ones that made it to the frigid north central part of the country. I'm not sure he's happy about it, from Los Angeles. But we're trying to establish chapters of Beagle Freedom Project everywhere where there's a company or a university that uses beagles for testing. And so we're expanding across the country this year, and we're also working with new friends like Senator Dibble here, who's going to say a few words about possible projects we have here in Minnesota.
Great. Do you want me to go now, or do you want to watch the video?
You know, that's a good point.
All
Let's
right.
watch the video.
All right.
It's 3 minutes. The first 30 seconds are kind of sad. It's nothing that's gonna, it's not gory, but it's sad. And then it gets inspiring. So let's go ahead and watch that. Shannon put this together last week just as a nice little commercial for the organization. The reason we're having this house party today, all the people who were able to adopt one of the 100 dogs that were rescued by Beagle Freedom Project all volunteered to do something in their own homes to talk to their friends, family, new friends about the organization, because for this organization to succeed, it needs to expand. And there's some great opportunities coming up, and I think Senator Dibble can say something about that.
All right, great. Well, first of all, thanks, Kevin, Aaron. This is just an amazing project and an amazing work, and I'm so happy to see that this organization has sprung from that amazing operation, that amazing moment. I remember when you guys got the call to get Kevin, and then I remember when Kevin first came to this house, you saw the, you know, the transformation of these dogs. Kevin was very tentative in the early days, and now you see Kevin running around like, hey, this party's for me, huh?
We call him Junior.
Or, yeah, Junior. Kevin
His name
Jr.
is Kevin.
Yeah,
We call him
that's
Junior.
right.
There can't be two
Kevin Jr., yes. What I love about this project, what I love about this idea is it takes action and it seeks to make it transformative, transformational. In Minnesota, we have a phenomenal animal rights movement and literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are involved in animal rescue and, you know, all sorts of animal issues, caring for dogs and the like. And there's been a real change over the last few years in which there's been the acknowledgement of all the energy that folks have, really understanding that, you know, a measure of our humanity, a measure of what we are as a state and a society is how we treat the most vulnerable and how we treat our animals. And, you know, by any objective measure, you know, Minnesota is fantastic because there are so many folks, but our policies and our political culture and our climate just simply haven't followed suit. And that's for some really specific reasons, because it's really hard to change the political landscape. It's really hard to pass a bill. It takes a lot of very intentional strategic work, and it takes building a lot of capacity. And that involves mobilizing folks to really participate in policy change and in their democracy. And so over the few years, after, you know, years of trying this bill and that bill and that bill and just, you know, running headlong into a ton of resistance from deep pocket, well-vested interests, very politically powerful corporate lobbies and the like, things have really started to shift and change. There's been a real coming together and really putting some of these ideas into action and really trying to make that link between what we do for the animals in our lives and how we do prevention work and how we do response and enforcement and that sort of thing. And so that's what's so powerful about this is it's animal rescue. We're very familiar with animal adoption and animal rescue, but it's seeking to create an idea for change and really bridging that what sometimes is a divide. And so, you know, we've seen some recent successes in Minnesota. I'm really excited that after years of trying, we finally were one of 2 states that still had, you know, a pound seizure law, which the University of Minnesota could go to any pound and just claim dogs and use them in their research. We don't allow that anymore. So, yay, that was good. And that was hard work, and that was the result of a lot of really intentional political work that happened. We've been, you know, banging the drum. We're one of very few states with absolutely no measure of control at all, no licensure standards, maybe some federal regs, but nothing at the state level, and certainly no effective enforcement for puppy mills. And so we have some of the most horrifying puppy mills in the entire country, because this is, you know, a state where folks know they can just breed any number of dogs and treat them in any form or fashion, and absolutely nothing's going to happen. And I am very optimistic that this year we'll get there. I'm very optimistic, and to that end, of course, there's a big rally at the Capitol on the 18th. Do you remember the details or the time? So, all right, so come down. I mean, it's going to make a huge difference how much folks engage. The coalition now around the puppy mill bill has come together. They're really moving forward, and it's become a much, much more sophisticated effort. And then what Kevin, the actual Kevin Sr., was alluding to is we're working on drafting legislation that simply says that labs, particularly labs in Minnesota that accept state funds, when they're finished with their beagles and their research into beagles, are healthy and could otherwise go on and live a healthy life. Instead of destroying them, which is what they do now, they just automatically destroy them as a course of action, they have to place them for adoption with a rescue organization. And so we're working on the language of the bill now, and, you know, it's such a powerful and simple idea. You know, nothing worth doing is easy, but I'm convinced with a little know-how and a little effort and some mobilizing, some organizing, and really making our case and engaging legislators and the governor, we can get this bill passed. So, you know, I'm fond of giving the speech to anyone who has a good idea and they want to have a cup of coffee. I said you can be right on the issue, you can research is on your side, moral high ground, public opinion is mobilized, and you're about 15% of the way there. The rest of it is politics, but not politics in the negative sense, politics in a real positive sense. It's about people engaging in their system of governance and asking their elected representatives to step up and do what they would expect them to do. And we've seen the animal rights community, Minnesota Voters for Animal Protection, and lots of folks really step up and up their game and bring their efforts to scale. And so I think we've got some real opportunities this year and in the coming years. So, and this is among the more powerful ideas, and of course one of the more heartwarming and fantastic projects that's going on. So I'm honored to be a part of it with Aaron, my friend and my campaign manager, and his partner Kevin. So thank you very much for giving me the honor to be here tonight.
Let me just piggyback real quick on what Scott said, and then we'll drink some more, have some cocktails. I will. And talk individually. But the reason we need this law is that as Beagle Freedom Project has become more successful, and successful is a relative term. There's 70,000 dogs in laboratories right now just in this country. In 2 years, we've gotten 100 out. Junior is one of the few lucky ones that has lived to bark about what he went through. And as we've gotten just 100 out, and their story has become public, and people have looked in their ear and seen the tattoo, and it has changed their lives, these laboratories and this community of researchers have pushed back against us. Companies and universities that used to willingly say, hey, you want to take our dogs instead of us cremating them? Go ahead. Are now saying, no way. We don't like those dogs being on the news.
Wow.
And to me, it's like one of the most cynical and screwed up reasons. They'd rather a dog like Junior die than to offend their sensitive egos. And so if they're not going to voluntarily do it, we need to make them do it. And it's not a controversial issue. It's one that I think 95% of the public would get on board with, but it's one that we're really going to have to fight tooth and nail for, like Scott said, in the political arena. And to that end, all of us that have one of these dogs from the laboratories are doing these house parties to introduce people to the idea because we need support. We need people to be involved, lend their voice, when they go to the store, make cruelty-free purchases, and also we do need money because we're going to have to hire a lobbyist, we're going to have to hire a PR firm, we're going to have to hire organizers to make sure we have people on the ground. Right now, Beagle Freedom Project consists of 2 full-time people. And we spend half of our time negotiating with labs across the country trying to get dogs out. So today, if you can, take a look at our promotional information, take whatever you'd like. Some of it is supposed to be merchandise, but I already have it all, so you can have whatever is up there. But if you can give a contribution to Beagle Freedom Project, we need it, and we would appreciate it. And with that, I thank you for coming. Please pet my dog, drink my booze, eat my food.
All right.
Thanks, Kevin.